Welcome to Fearless Females, where ambition meets resilience. Meet your guide, Lorie Jones, owner of Fearless Financial Advisors. Join her and remarkable women executives as they uncover the triumphs and transformative moments shaping extraordinary careers. Ready to be fearless? Let the journey begin.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us again at Fearless Females. Shout out to our sponsor, Fearless Financial Advisors. Check out the website. I'm super excited about all the new content I've kind of been putting out there. I wrote an article about princesses and another about cars, so you might find it amusing. Go check it out. So today we're chatting with Rachel Platt, and I just loved one of the things she said around halfway through our interview. She said, I never felt bad for doing more and being kinder. And I just found that so impactful. You know, a lot of times we get so busy, and I see this in my clients too. Like they're so busy earning the money and taking care of the kids and doing all the things that you do all day, every day, that they don't really kind of take a step back and ask themselves, I'm doing all these things, but what are my values? Like, what is my mission personally? Who am I and who do I want to show up as? And I ask that question because a lot of times you're not spending your money the way that you value. You're not spending your time the way that you value. You're not actually doing the things that you say that you value. And one of my values is kindness. It's something that I feel so strongly about. I feel like you need to be kind to everybody. And when I get so busy on that treadmill doing the things and doing all of the things, sometimes I forget to take that extra effort and really be kind and interested in what someone else is doing. If you're meeting 20 different people in a week, it's hard to remember to pay attention, to get down. I used to do it when I had little kids where you'd get down and you'd look at the cracks of the sidewalks and you'd see the little ants scurrying around. And my kids just loved to take the time to look at the ants and the ladybugs and the butterflies. And I had things I had to do. I had groceries I need to buy and stuff that I needed to do. And I always tried to take the time to sit down and watch the ants cross the sidewalk with my little kids because I knew it wasn't going to last forever. And I love that Rachel kind of brought that out and reminded me of that, is that you never feel bad for slowing down, taking the time to be kinder, being true to your values. That never is a bad decision. And I'm so excited for you to hear the rest of her gems of wisdom. Let's get started with Rachel. Today we have Rachel Platt, and she is the CEO of PLATTinum Consulting. Thank you, Rachel, so much for agreeing to do this and share your story. I appreciate it.
I'm so honored to be here, Lorie. Thank you.
So my first question is always my favorite. I love reading. What is your favorite book?
I love reading also, but I have to be honest, I am in a non-reading for pleasure phase of my life. I am reading a lot of business books that I pick up and put down. Some of my favorites, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. Very relevant for this audience would be It's Not a Glass Ceiling, It's a Sticky Floor by Rebecca Shambaugh. All about, it's an older book. I mean, I think it's from like 2008, but it really is about how women sometimes self-sabotage in the workplace. And my all-time favorite is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. Really anything by Brené Brown I just love because it talks about vulnerability and leadership and courage. And my work is all about how we show up in the workplace and how we make better workplace environments where people really can thrive. So just those books all just remind me that showing up as your full authentic self, flaws and all, that's really the act of bravery. And that's true in business and in life. And so those are three that I pick up, put down, like read a chapter, go back, flip through on a pretty regular basis.
I love that. I haven't heard the glass ceiling sticky floor one, so I'll have to check that out. That's so interesting. But I did just read The Go-Giver, and I too love anything by Brené Brown. So that's really great. I love those suggestions. Thank you.
Yes. But I do need to get back into some fiction and, more reading for pleasure. I
I
just
know.
feel like I spend too much time on my computer and on my phone. Like I can't read anymore right now.
I know. I have that problem too. I read for business and then have to, watch the news and the markets and all that sort of stuff. So just keeping up on all the new data and the new trends and the new thinking that's come out kind of take all day long. It's a good thing I like reading, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your journey, Rachel. Talk about how you got started. Like, did you always want to be what you are today? How did that journey progress and kind of what you're doing today?
Sure. So, I don't think anybody grows up and when they're little says, "Oh, I want to work in HR." I want to be a ballerina. I want to be a princess. I want to be the queen, whatever it is. But I studied marketing and psychology and human development. And I had an opportunity straight out of college where I got into recruiting. And it seemed like a really good mix of things that I was interested in and things that I was good at. And I started in an agency environment and pretty quickly realized that that was not for me and went corporate. And within 6 months of graduating, I was working for what at the time was a pretty major, well-known organization. And I got so lucky because I have had so many incredible bosses throughout my career who have seen things in me that I might not have seen in myself. And really kind of went from job to job where I started doing one thing and they plucked me and said, "No, you should try this. We should put you here." And over time in different organizations and different leaders, I really created a very robust HR background in all sorts of environments, large organizations, small organizations, very stable organizations, startup organizations, for-profit, not-for-profit. Actually, saying that makes me sound like a job hopper, and I don't think I've ever had a job for less than 5 years, and I'm not 125. So that sounds like a lot of jobs, which it really is not. And I always loved what I was doing and finding ways to balance helping individuals really be successful and feel like they were contributing and helping the business to do and make the right business decisions about their people and their resources and their human capital. And so when an opportunity came up actually, it didn't come up. When the opportunity, I had always wanted to be the head of human resources, chief people officer, CHRO. And I took that opportunity in 2017 and I realized it was not for me. Maybe it was the wrong organization. Maybe it was the wrong people. Maybe it was the wrong time. But I'll never know what it actually was because I left that opportunity and I just said, I'm so far away from doing the work that I actually love, where I know I can make an impact. I'm going to start my own thing. And so in 2018, I started PLATTinum Consulting. We focus on people strategy for small and mid-sized organizations across the country. And I'm having a ton of fun. We do incredible work with for-profit and not-for-profit organizations, primarily in the professional services space. But I really feel like I'm having an impact. And that makes all the difference. Like getting up in the morning and feeling like you're doing good work
Yeah.
is such a gift.
So in what way? Like, what did you find that you really love doing that you get to do now and you weren't able to do in the chief people officer position?
Sometimes the more senior you get in an organization, the more political it is, the more time you spend in meetings, and the less time you actually spend executing, having an impact on the business that you can see and feel. And to me, that has always been very important. Like, I love and I do a ton of strategy work. That is the work that we do. But seeing it executed and hearing directly how it is being received by the employees or the managers, how it's impacting the bottom line, how it is improving engagement scores, or how it is improving retention, or whatever the particular project is, really fuels me.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, in my situation in corporate, I just felt like I wasn't having the direct impact anymore. It was very high level, and to me, I mean, some people love that and they thrive in these huge organizations with, many direct reports who have many direct reports. And I I always thought that that's what I wanted, but once I actually got there, it was just I did not feel that I was contributing as much as I could. And I always want to feel, and I think most people want to feel like they're doing good work that is making, whether you're for profit, not for profit, that they're making a difference in someone's life.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't feeling that. But with PLATTinum and working directly with leaders, HR leaders, or directly with the C-suite, we really can customize for what an organization is challenged with. And that's a great feeling every day.
I love that. I love that you really did think that this was where you were headed. It's what you'd set your sights on. It's what you'd planned on. It's what you grew for. But when you got there and found out that it wasn't quite what you thought it would be or how you thought it would be, you were able to pivot. That's a hard thing to do when you finally reach your goal and you realize that this might not have been the best goal for me.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, and again, I'll never know whether it was the timing, the specific organization, the specific people that it was working with. Maybe in a different organization, it would have been a very, very different circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never know. And I didn't just to be truthful, I didn't necessarily say, oh, I'm going to start my own thing. I said, I have to get out of here. And I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My mother had her own business for a while. My father has always had his own business. My grandfather, my uncles, probably my great grandfather, if I really think about it, they always, were very entrepreneurial. And when I left, I kind of put the word out to several of my former colleagues, former bosses, that, hey, I'm looking to do some projects. Can I help anyone out right now while I figure out what's next? And all of a sudden, this one came back and this one came back and here's this project. And I was like, this is exactly what I should be doing. And so it was just kind of like people helped me to get there. So I wouldn't say, yes, I pivoted, but it was pivoting while I was trying to figure out what was next. And then I never actually interviewed for another job because one thing led to another. And now it's, 7 years later and it's a thriving business, and such a small percentage of startups, actually last 5 years. Such a small percentage of women-owned businesses last and are profitable and move beyond what they call like the hobby stage. And so I'm incredibly proud of that. And it takes a lot of different skills than what I ever learned in corporate. And so every opportunity that I've had to learn something, and I would definitely recommend this for any of your listeners, like take what you can from every single situation, because it does come back. You need a variety of different skills. And you also need to know when it's not for you and, hey, I should hire someone to help me do this because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's marketing for me.
Yeah.
So what is the best investment you've made in yourself? Is there something that you can point to and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did that. I just wouldn't be where I'm at today without it.
I would say financial investment is probably, certainly education. And while I don't believe certifications have ever gotten me a job, they gave me confidence, and the confidence to know I can learn anything. I can do I can do things. I just have to really dedicate time to them. And so, those investments, whether it's in certain webinars, taking the time to invest in myself, even if for me, those things just tend to give me more confidence that I have recognition or awareness of what's happening. So I know where to look if I need further information. I know, a name or a trend or something, a buzzword, like it clicks for me, just that I'm aware of it. And I think those investments in yourself, even if your organization doesn't have the budget, the time, reading, just staying on top of those things and doing it for yourself is such an important investment.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think it's been very, very beneficial for myself.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned, Rachel, that it just kind of gives you the confidence. A lot of times when I'm introducing myself to people, I'll tell them some of the designations that I have, and they're like, wow, that's a lot. And I don't really need all of those designations. Like I barely use some of them day to day, but they do give you that sense of like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. You feel comfortable sitting in those rooms, with other investment bankers or hedge fund managers or really, really smart, bright people because you understand and are educated about what they're saying. So, a lot of women deal with things like imposter syndrome and am I good enough or am I, and sometimes that education does help out with that. It doesn't, like, you are good enough, you can do it, but sometimes the education or the designations help you feel like you really are.
Yeah, I think they actually help me feel more confident than they actually have necessarily taught me anything, or that anyone else looks at the designation and says, oh, well, she's got that. She obviously knows something. It's more for me, because I do think imposter syndrome, studies show, I could show you the workplace data that shows that women tend to have more imposter syndrome. They also tend not to, have you ever heard the situation where if there are two equally qualified individuals looking at a job description, if the woman does not have probably close to, I believe the percentage is 90% of the requirements, the woman won't even apply. The man, more typically, at 60%, will throw their name in the ring. And, so we all have a little bit of it. I find that as I get older, it goes away a little bit. But it's just a funny thing, Lorie. I've been listening to, when we started planning this, I've been listening to all of your podcasts and all of your guests. And I was like, oh my goodness, she asked me to be on? I was like, why did she ask me to be on? These women are terrific and they're brilliant and they speak so eloquently. And, I was joking with my husband about that. And he was like, you're good enough. But it still hits us.
Mm-hmm.
And so just for me, having a little bit of education under my belt, ongoing education, it doesn't need to be anything formal, really is an investment that I encourage everyone to make in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing the amount of confidence that helps bring us. And you'll be shocked to know, Rachel, that just about every woman I ask to do my podcast is like, oh, you don't want me. I don't do anything cool. I'm not all that great. And I'm like, you get in and they have all this knowledge and they do such cool things. So you're in good company. You do cool things too. So tell me a little bit about the worst advice someone gave you. Can you ever remember like somebody giving you some really bad advice and did you take it or did you not take it? What happened?
The worst advice is keep your head down. Don't make waves. I think a lot of professionals, particularly women, but a lot of professionals are told just do good work and you'll get recognized. And I never found that to be true. But B, as a people strategist, as a human resources leader, I will tell you that you need to advocate for yourself. And so keeping your head down is not good advice. I received it. I did it. I wanted to, I'm a people pleaser. I want to be liked, all of those things. And so I was just going along to get along and doing good work. And that is terrible advice. If you don't advocate for yourself, if you're not keeping a list of your accomplishments, big and small, your supervisors, even the best supervisors, and I have had some incredible ones, I've been so, so lucky, they don't remember. They need to be reminded. And so keeping a list for yourself, talking about boosting your confidence and getting rid of imposter syndrome, it's a great strategy for that. But also really advocating for yourself and not just kind of letting the waves go over you, but like speaking up, making your voice be heard, even, as the expression goes, even if that voice is a little shaky at first, you need to speak up. You need to offer your ideas, you need to be heard, and you need to advocate for yourself.
So, Rachel, are there some ideas that you have for advocating for yourself, for showing that you're like, I tell my team to keep a list of their accomplishments, but I don't know how you get that list to your supervisor without sounding braggy, or maybe it's okay if you sound braggy. Like, how do you do that?
So as a supervisor, one of the things that I try to do is in one of the monthly meetings, I tell everyone, you need to come with something that you're proud of, something that you've accomplished. And so everyone, big or small, so everyone is bragging a little bit and we all can hear it and we can celebrate with someone. And I'll be honest, not everyone is comfortable with that, but we help them get comfortable because we also give shout outs to each other. Hey, no one else may have noticed that Lorie actually did so and so. How amazing is that? And it doesn't have to be something huge. It just could be Lorie solved a problem that none of us ever had time for before or knew how to solve. So those are great ways. The other thing I also tell people, which I've never understood, people say you should come prepared to your annual or your quarterly check-in with your supervisor, however your organization does it, to talk about these things. No, no, no. You need to send it in advance. You need to say, hey, supervisor, I'm looking forward to our check-in. I'm really proud of these accomplishments, and my expectations are XYZ. We're going to be talking about what it takes for me to get promoted, what it's going to take for me to get an above average increase. Give your supervisor the opportunity to prepare to have a meaningful conversation. And even if that meaningful conversation is to tell you that you are off your rocker and, but like, get that knowledge and don't expect somebody to be able to do it on the spot. That is just a really great way to advocate for yourself, put out there what your accomplishments are and what your aspirations are so that you can have a really productive conversation.
I love that. I love those two suggestions. They're great. And I think that I was talking to Gargi Chaudhry for one of my podcasts a while ago, and she said, no one cares about your career as much as you do. And
no one should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's what you're saying is like, hey, like your supervisor, as much as they care about you, even great ones are like, hey, I need you to put the effort into this.
Yeah, own it. Own your career. It's nobody. You are the one in the driver's seat. Your organization, your supervisors, whatever the professional development is that is available to you, those are all of like giving you some fuel for your car as you're driving along, if we work this analogy a little bit. But you're the driver of your career. You can't expect anybody else to do it for you. And so take all of those inputs, but drive and own your career.
I love that. So, Rachel, if you're looking back, is there a situation that you can think of along your journey where you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could go back and do that again? I know so much more now. I would do it so much differently. And I know that, I'm not going to say regrets exactly, but just like I've learned from that situation and I would do it differently this time around.
So, sometimes the shoemaker's kids does have no shoes. I was early in my career. I had to do a reorg in my own department. And I was a very, very, very young supervisor. And I had people on my team who were old enough to be my parents that I was leading. And I just didn't handle it I handled it in a very procedural and appropriate and legal way, but not in a human respect and dignity, and not built on the relationships that we had actually built with each other. I did what was necessary. I didn't do more than what was necessary. And That has always bothered me. Now, fortunately and unfortunately, I have, the nature of the work that I do, I have been involved in so many reorganizations and layoffs over time. Luckily, not as many within my own team, but I learned from that very first experience, and I never ever do it that way anymore. I mean, what we are seeing right now, not to get political, this is not political.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you agree or disagree with what the outcomes are supposed to be by what is happening in the federal government right now, we can all agree that this is a masterclass in how not to make change in an organization,
Mm-hmm.
how not to impact someone's life. And I mean, it is actually astounding. Every, leadership professional, every HR professional that I have spoken to in the last, 6 months is just aghast at what is actually happening. And that has nothing to do with where you are on the political spectrum. It is just basic human decency.
Mm-hmm.
So I have learned a tremendous amount, and I've never felt bad for doing more and being kinder and to someone during a time of change. I've only felt bad when I've only done the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Just being a good human is just really important, and I learned that.
It's so hard, Rachel, because I've talked to people in, corporate America, and they said that there are so many rules around that kind of change and reorganization. Like, how do you bring that human touch in while still following all the rules?
You know, some of it is the language that you use. I mean, you're making the same points,
Mhm.
but some of it is also some decisions that organizations make on how they are supporting people who are departing, not just like potentially what their severance may be, but what other services, outplacement services, support, leaning into your own network to help someone. All of those things are things that we can do just to be kind and helpful to someone else. I mean, there are also other things like if you're in person, like how someone's last day is handled, how they are escorted or not escorted out of the office, what is communicated to staff that has not been impacted. All of that, how you do these things, not only has reverberates for the people who are potentially being let go, but also for the folks who are staying with you. They
Mhm.
see what you're doing. And look, there is always a hit on morale when you make big changes, but how long that morale hits, how you recover from it, how people who are remaining with the organization talk about it, get re-engaged, the trust that they have or have lost, it really matters in how you're communicating it. And so having a strong people strategy that not only includes the legal aspect of it, but really includes people strategy is critical for organizations that are really, desiring, these are business decisions, and sometimes they're really hard and heartbreaking business decisions, but how you go about it matters so much. And there are things you can do. So having someone really focused on the people strategy side of it beyond the legal side is critical.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because after the downturn or the reorganization is finished, you do still have people in that organization that are kind of looking at what has happened and deciding, hey, they did a good job. They were as human and as kind as they could be, or they're looking back and saying, oh my gosh, I'm out of here as soon as I can possibly find another job, based
Absolutely.
on your interactions with those people that are actually let go or laid off or given severance or some of that.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
What scared you the most at the beginning of your journey? Did anything, and does it still scare you today, or did you learn how to handle it?
To be honest, going out on my own was scary, not because of doing the work I was confident in, but like, I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to do sales necessarily. I didn't know anything about marketing. Like, I worked for organizations that did that. And so, yeah, I was terrified, to be honest. I did a lot of reading, a lot of trial and error, a lot of flailing, and I've made some choices on experts that I was hiring and how I was going to invest in the business. And I have finally realized, someone said to me, and I think that this is brilliant, and I have no idea who to attribute it to, but this concept of there are two kinds of leaders of organizations, entrepreneurs. There are those who use their time in order to save money. And there are those who spend some money in order to save their time. And I've made a bit of a shift between, I used to try to do everything myself because, I can't invest in that. But you know what? There is a reason why there are finance experts and accounting experts and marketing experts. And they should be those experts. And people hire me to be a people strategy expert because that's what I do really well. And so I think that has just been a lesson for myself, and also something that terrified me at first and doesn't terrify me anymore, even though I still get the butterflies, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so interesting because I do, walk clients sometimes through opening a business or starting an entrepreneurial sort of, and what kind of business organization do you want? And let's think about your cash flow and like all those sorts of things. And because I've done it so many times, like I kind of know a template, it's easier. Whereas you're like coming at this and it's like this just big, huge, monstrous thing, right? So if you find those people, I find them in marketing. Like I can't do marketing to save my life. I could actually do it, but I wouldn't do very well at it. And so I find those people that are expert, that's the thing they do and that's the thing they love to do. And
Yes.
it makes a huge difference. They do it way faster than me too.
Yeah. And even in like the days of AI, like, it's just, there are people who know things. So find those people. And because AI is not going to replace the brilliance, the creativity of the human aspects. Like, you can do a lot of research, but I don't know if you've had this in your business. There's so many people out there to listen to. So if you're trying to do it on your own, it's like, it is overwhelming because you listen to this person and then this person says something a little different and this person says something a little different. And it becomes like, oh my goodness. There's just too much out there. So
Yeah.
work with a person who is an expert and make your life a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Did you face any unique challenges along your path, Rachel, because you were a woman?
I mean, of course, trying to be a working mom is a delicate dance. I it's funny. I had two times in my career where the executive team that I was working with was all men. And I mean, I love working with men. I've had some terrific male bosses. I've had some mentors. I mean, I'm not someone, I'm a boy mom. I'm not someone who, anyway, but I have to say that being a young professional woman, and I'm not very tall, there have been some real strange, like getting patted on the head. Like, I'm sorry, what? But like the first time it happened when I was in my 20s by like a 6'5" man, I like kind of laughed it off. And when I told my boss about it, the response was, well, you'll never wear flats again. And that was true for many, many, many years. I at least tried to give myself a couple of extra inches. Now I wear sneakers all the time because whatever. But the next time it happened to me, I was not quiet about it. And I'm just not sure that and it was meant with affection. I truly believe that. But I don't think that ever would have happened to a shorter man. I just don't. And there's lots of real scenarios, that I can think of. But like that scenario is like, it's so silly, but yet it's so real. Like, I'm sorry, you were not doing that to.
What did you do the second time? Like, what did you say?
I don't remember exactly, but it was something along the lines of like, you're kidding, right? I mean, and it was somebody who I had a great relationship. Like I said, I believe it was done with affection,
Mm-hmm.
but it still is like when people call you like hun in the office, an older, more typically it is an older man who genuinely does not mean anything by it.
Mm-hmm.
I still say to them, I'm sorry, that's not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the affection. I appreciate the relationship we have, but like I have gotten to a place in my life and the younger women in my life who like, they don't tolerate it one bit. I tolerate it a whole lot more than they do.
Yeah.
All of those circumstances. But like, I tell somebody with a smile, no, we're not playing that. That is not appropriate. And I try to do it in a very like endearing way,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not allowing it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and those younger women, a lot of times they do stick up for themselves pretty well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
More power to them.
I
So
know.
proud of them.
I love it. I take notes. I'm always like, they talk about like mentorship, and those of us that are on the latter half of our career can kind of, help and tell these younger women a lot of times things that we've been through and things that we've seen. But it works the other way as well. Like I've learned so much from those young ladies who are just starting out in this career path. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done it that way.
Yes. I love these women who, not all of them, but these women who stand up for themselves, speak their mind. They are not taking any crap. And more power to them. Yeah.
What, Rachel, is the thing that you are most proud of?
I mean, I'm super proud of this business. I'm super proud of my boys. I would say that as much as we're talking about fearless females, I want them to grow up in a much more equal, where they realize that they have roles and responsibilities. I mean, I am super lucky. My husband is incredible. He does like 90% of the cooking in our house, and my kids have grown up with that. So I'm really proud of them. I see them with their female friends, with their girlfriends, and I think I have hope between them and their friends. I have hope that future generations we've taken what women before us have done, and we stand on their shoulders, and they will stand on our shoulders. But I also believe that, having good men makes a difference also. So both the business and the kids, always.
I love that. I too have 3 boys, and I watch them and how they treat their relationships and how they treat their wives and the people in their lives, and I see where that great hope comes from, because it really is truly a partnership. I think that as it goes through the generations, like, I have so much hope for this next generation of women that are coming into this professional space, both on them and their skills and the way they show up in this professional space, but also on those that are supporting them, and
Yes.
the men in their lives that are helping them to, the dads and the brothers and the husbands and the father, just,
Co-workers and all of
yeah,
those things.
yeah.
I mean, look, I think about it all the time. I'm not sure that my dad knows how the washing machine works, and I'm fairly certain he could feed himself. But it probably would not involve the stove. Yet he has always been my biggest supporter. You can do it. You can do everything. You can do anything. And I just think that while not everyone has had that, more and more we're seeing, people, like, the phrase girl dad did not exist when I was a kid. But now my cousins, my friends who, have daughters, they are leaning in to grow and develop and raise powerful women. And it's amazing. And, like, my dad in his own way did that. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So yeah, I have hope.
Any advice for a young lady who's just starting down her path so that she could be as successful as you are one day?
Can I repeat an answer and just say advocate for yourself? Stand up for yourself. Don't be such a people pleaser that you're just saying yes. Create your boundaries and know what it is that you need and want, and speak up for yourself. And take the advice I gave earlier, which is don't wait till the last minute to speak up for yourself. Give people time so that they can prepare, so that they can know what your expectations are, what your aspirations are, so that you get solid answers, so that you're not, like, sitting in limbo, but that hopefully somebody gives you honest and actionable feedback. Whether it's feedback that goes the direction that you want it to or not, having choice is the most important thing. So always put yourself in the position where, if you're not getting what you want from this work environment, from this relationship, from whatever the scenario is, you have a choice to do something different. It's scary, but you can make that choice. You are never stuck.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We should frame that and put it somewhere. You are not stuck.
Yes, it is not a sticky floor. It is sometimes, but back to the book, you can unstuck yourself, unstick yourself. You can make a choice and vote with your feet and do something different. But you just need to put yourself in a situation where you have choice, where you can make choices.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, it's just been delightful having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for all your experience, for just sharing that path in your journey with me. If I have a young lady who wants to reach out and ask you questions, how does she get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I am pretty active on LinkedIn, Rachel Platt, or someone can reach out to me through my website, which is PLATTinumConsulting.com. Just a reminder, my last name, Platt, is spelled with 2 T's, and therefore platinum is spelled with 2 T's. So that's how you find me. And I would love to hear from anyone, any young women, or from any older, not as young women who are making their way. I'm happy to be a resource.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today, Rachel. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Lorie. You've got a great podcast, and I learned so much from it, and I'm truly honored to be considered worthy to be on it. So thank you.
A fearless female. There's lots of us out there, right?
Yes. Thank you.